Osama handed over his wife to the Navy SEAL, and the Navy SEAL then. When that hard drive was checked, it was found that Osama used to watch adult content, It was a plan to collect Osama's children's DNA under the pretext of a vaccine, so as soon as they reached the gate and rang the bell. Osama emerged from the bag and crossed into Pakistan's borders on horseback. "My country is at war, and I decided to come here to see for myself." Using the reflection of a mirror, Osama encoded messages on the mountains and began transmitting them from one peak to another. An infrared camera from the compound detected his body heat and captured thermal images. Osama's DNA scattered across both helicopters as they flew below Pakistani radar. While hidden listening devices were placed in the trees around the compound. Do anything, but Pakistan must not find out. On September 11, 2001, as the world's most significant attack on the US unfolded, Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind it, sat in Khost, a mountainous region in eastern Afghanistan, surrounded by his bodyguards, closely monitoring every detail of the attack through the BBC Arabic service. The same day, U.S. intelligence agencies, CIA, FBI, and NSA, immediately launched an investigation into the attack. Through this process, they meticulously uncovered even the smallest details and identified 19 individuals who were suspected to be the hijackers. By this point, the attack had already occurred, and all passengers had perished. The U.S. intelligence agencies were determined to uncover every possible detail. Within hours, they retrieved surveillance footage from the airports where the flights had originated and began scrutinizing the activities of each individual. During this process, they received a crucial lead. One of the hijackers, Mohammed Atta, had accidentally left his bag at Boston Logan Airport due to a delay in his connecting flight. Without wasting time, the CIA quickly located and opened the bag. Fortunately, their search required minimal effort as the bag contained precisely what they were looking for: al-Qaeda's instructions, training manuals, planning documents, and even Mohammed Atta's will. This confirmed that al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden were behind the attack. However, the investigation didn't stop there. Intelligence agencies began tracking the old calls, emails, and bank transactions of the 19 hijackers from the moment they arrived in the U.S. Their findings provided official confirmation that the attack was funded by al-Qaeda, with money transferred via a Dubai-based account. Additionally, evidence showed that the hijackers had been trained in Afghanistan and Pakistan, leaving no doubt that al-Qaeda was responsible. Al-Qaeda was not a new name for the U.S. In August 2001, just a month before the attack, the CIA had already issued a warning that al-Qaeda was planning something significant. The organization had previously attacked U.S. embassies multiple times, and for years, the U.S. had been demanding that Afghanistan hand over Osama bin Laden. The U.S. had long been aware of al-Qaeda's network and Osama's details. Following the attack, the entire country was outraged. On September 20, 2001, President George W. Bush addressed a joint session of Congress, demanding that Afghanistan hand over Osama bin Laden unconditionally and immediately shut down al-Qaeda's training camps. He warned that failure to comply would lead to U.S. military action. At this point, one might wonder why Afghanistan, a country already struggling, would refuse to cooperate with a superpower like the U.S. However, the situation was complex. Since 1992, Afghanistan had been embroiled in a civil war. The Taliban controlled 90% of the country, while the remaining 10% was under the Northern Alliance. Osama bin Laden had played a crucial role in supporting the Taliban, providing funding and training for its fighters. Moreover, the Taliban and al-Qaeda shared ideological beliefs, making it difficult for the Taliban to betray Osama. On September 21, 2001, the Taliban responded to the US's demands, stating that they required proof of Osama's involvement. They also insisted that Osama was their guest and that handing him over would violate their principles and hospitality. The US refused to accept these justifications. When the Taliban refused to comply, the US launched Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan within 2 weeks.
Operation Enduring Freedom.
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 An Operation Enduring Freedom has
Operation Enduring Freedom.
This military action is a part of our campaign against terrorism. Another front in a war that has already been joined through diplomacy, intelligence, the freezing of financial assets, and the arrests of known terrorists by law enforcement agents in 30.
In this operation, the US, alongside the Northern Alliance, Afghanistan's opposition to the Taliban, began targeting Taliban strongholds and intensifying their search for Osama. One by one, top Taliban leaders were eliminated, and the US, with assistance from the Northern Alliance, gained significant ground. The Taliban was losing control, and Osama's situation became increasingly precarious. With limited options, Osama, accompanied by his bodyguards, fled to the Tora Bora Mountains, located near the Pakistan border. He and his fighters avoided electronic communication, relying instead on unsecured radio transmissions only when absolutely necessary. This strategy rendered the US's advanced technology ineffective in tracking him. After several days of searching, US intelligence gathered 3 key pieces of evidence pointing to Osama's presence in Tora Bora. Second, a specialized US team intercepted an unsecured radio transmission mentioning Tora Bora. Finally, a separate intelligence unit studying al-Qaeda's communications observed coded signals being exchanged via mirror reflections on the mountains, further confirming the location. One day, Osama made a crucial mistake. He spoke on an unsecured radio transmission, and his voice was intercepted. A specialist named Zermelo, who had been studying Osama's voice for 7 years, immediately identified his speech pattern in Arabic dialect, confirming his identity. With all the intelligence gathered, the data was sent to CIA headquarters in Virginia, where analysts converted it into an electronic battlefield map. This map provided a comprehensive overview of Osama's likely whereabouts. A secret U.S. Delta Force team, led by Major Dalton Fury, along with 70 soldiers, a CIA team, and Northern Alliance forces, set out to capture Osama. Upon reaching Tora Bora, the U.S. military launched relentless attacks from December 3 to December 7, 2001, dropping 700,000 pounds of bombs. The bombings were so intense that they caused earthquakes in the mountains.
Tora began in Afghanistan. Operation Enduring Freedom began in October of 2001, but Osama Bin Laden would get captured as al-Qaeda and Taliban forces led.
They still couldn't pinpoint Osama's exact location. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Osama understood that he was trapped and that the U.S. forces would not retreat. To buy time, Osama initiated negotiations through unsecured radio transmissions with the Northern Alliance in Tora Bora, stating that he was willing to surrender but only if the bombing ceased. He demanded a ceasefire before he and his men could surrender. The CIA remained skeptical about Osama's true intentions. They continued monitoring his radio communications, fully aware that he was attempting to manipulate the situation to confirm that they were genuinely going to surrender. The CIA team sought further assurance. Then, on December 11, CIA officers arrived at Osama's residence and asked the Northern Alliance to negotiate with him and finalize the deal. However, the next day, December 12, when Osama was supposed to surrender, he instead used the prolonged bombings to his advantage. During this time, he prepared his escape route and fled towards Pakistan with his bodyguards, using horses and rickshaws. After this, Osama's family also vanished without a trace, and no one knew where they had gone. This was a significant opportunity for Osama to slip away from the grasp of the United States. He successfully evaded capture, but on December 19, 2001, a CIA Afghan informant named Mukhtar learned that Osama's family had reached Pakistan. Based on this information, it was assumed that if his family had arrived in Pakistan, Osama must be there as well. The United States, in collaboration with Pakistan, began searching for Osama in Pakistan. In reality, Osama had made his way to Pakistan's federally administered tribal areas, FATA, a semi-autonomous region before 2018. This area operated under a tribal governance system rather than Pakistan's mainstream legal framework.